Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks 40k channel and a special video on how I have painted up my Ultramarines, so mainly the blue and the gold trim. Part of my Road to 30k video, there's been quite a few comments on a few of the videos asking how I achieved the blue and the gold. So I asked the question at the end of one of my videos, would you guys like a painting guide? And the answer was yes. So this is it. One of the other questions that was posed was, how do I wash my miniatures? So I'm going to start with that and then move on to the painting. So as you can see, one of the Praetors is ready in front of me. He's been cleaned up. Nice easy kit to clean, actually, wasn't much needed. Slightly different resin to what Forge would normally do. It doesn't feel greasy at all. Sometimes it's got the residue on it that they use the chemical to get them out of the mould, and you can feel it on the miniature. But this one's actually not too bad. So it's all prepped and ready to go. So we're now at the wash stage. So what I do is I've got a bowl of warm water. It's kind of that lukewarm. You can put your hand in and it's pleasant. It's not cold. It's not red hot. You don't want it red hot because it will bend your forge wall resin. Now in there are bubbles, and that is from hand wash, so hand soap. You can use washing up liquid. That's perfectly fine. I just find that hand wash seems to work better for me with the resin, so I use that. Put a couple of squirts in and give it a good mix up so it's nice and bubbly, and then I put the model in and leave it overnight normally, and then scrub it with the toothbrush after, which I will show you. This miniature, possibly a couple of hours. I don't think this one's going to need an overnight because of the way that he feels. But literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab bits and I'm going to chuck them in. Literally just chuck him in the water. There we go. In he goes. There we go. So, as you can see, he's in there. I'm going to leave him in there now for... I might leave him overnight, actually, thinking about it, and then give him a scrub in the morning, and then let him dry. So I've left my Praetor in overnight, like I normally do, and he's obviously... I've taken him out and I've let him dry, just on normal kitchen rods to absorb all of the water. Now, this guy, because of the smoothness of the resin, I haven't actually had to scrub him with the toothbrush. But if you feel that you need to, or if you take it out and it still feels quite oily and it needs a scrub, or you want to leave it soaking for a little bit less time, get yourself a duffed up old toothbrush that you don't use anymore, or your other half's toothbrush if you have an argument. Bit of water, bit of soap on the end, or washing up liquid, and then literally just go over the miniature. Just give it a good wash, give it a good scrub all over. Just help loosen off any of that resin. But like I said, this one hasn't actually need any of that, so he's pretty good. He's now ready to be undercoated. So as you can see then, guys, the miniature has now been completely undercoated and it's dry and ready to paint. As you can see, he's in parts. So what I normally do is I paint in bits and then glue them together as they're completed and at the end. So I'm going to show you the blue and the gold on his legs and his torso. Okay. So first off, I'm going to base this miniature, and I always use, for my Ultramarines, I'm going to base him with MacLeod blue. Now, as Duncan says, always give your paints a really good shake. He never says how long. I mean, seriously, you could be sitting there shaking your paint for like an hour. Come on, Duncan, give us a time scale. Anyway, so I'm going to go off and base this guy, and I'll show you at the end. The lower half of the Praetor has been based in MacLeod blue. I've done the chest plate and the torso as well, just so it's all done in one piece. And it's now ready for the next stage. So I have been round and based all the areas that I think should be blue. And now I'm going to wash it. And I do a blue wash of the Draken Nightshade. So I'm just going to base all over the blue panels with the Draken Nightshade, and then let it dry, and we move on to the next stage after that. So the wash on the Ultramarine has now finished. He is dried. He's looking quite good. Now the final step for my blue, because I literally just do 3 stages, is to dry brush him with Caldor Sky. So I'm going to do a very light dry brush of this over the top of all of the blue panels, just to bring it back up and make it a bit lighter. And that is literally it. That is the 3 stages of the blue of my Ultramarine. So I base, I wash, and I dry brush. I don't do layer upon layer upon layer upon layer because I wanted to keep it simple. I had 30 Tactical Marines to paint for the Betrayal of Calth box set. I'd have got bored if I'd have done it far too complicated. So nice easy paint scheme for the Ultramarines. So that is how I do my blue. There you go. So I'm going to go dry brush this guy. Once it's done, I'll show you, and then we'll move on to the gold. So I've now completely and utterly dry brushed the Praetor. I think I've got most of it on my thumb and fingers. Like I said before, that is kind of the blue done now. I don't really do extreme highlighting. I think the method that I use kind of pulls the detail out on the armour because of the dry brushing. Obviously, it finds the raised surfaces. So yeah, that is the blue of my Ultramarines done. Now what we need to do is the gold. So for this, the first stage is Balthasar Gold. There you go. So Balthasar Gold, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go round all of the trim on his armour that I believe should be gold. I'm also going to do the parts that I think are silver. One thing I do with my Ultramarines is, if I can pick this out, so the bits in between the armour where you can still see some of their, probably like their under fabric of what they're wearing. I always do grey. I think I'm going to do these little rivets on the side. I'm going to do these silver. There's going to be some gold here. Thinking white on his cloth at the front, and then obviously silver for all the piping around there. So there isn't actually a lot to do left on this guy, he says. But let's go do the gold and do the other bits, and then I'll take on to the next stage. So the gold on the Praetor is now done. I've also done the silver and the white on his cloth. So I've done the silver on the side of his legs and on there as well. And then the next stage for this is a wash with my personal favourite, Agrax Earthshade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pin wash around the gold. I'm going to wash the silver to dull them all down, especially those silver pipes at the top. So dull them all down, just pull the detail back out on them, including the same on the rivets and same on the white cloth. So pin wash around the gold, just dulling them all back down. And then, again, same as the blue, there's only 3 steps for the gold. So after that, I'm going to go over it with a slightly lighter gold. So the Agrax is now dried, and it's quite a dull looking gold, which I'm quite happy with. But what I like to do is I like to go back over it exactly the same as my blue. It's in 3 stages. So I'm going to go back over the gold with shining gold, nice and bright. However, one of the things I am going to do is, if I can do this on camera, one of the things I am going to do is I'm going to go along here with the shining gold and in here, but I'm not going to go and over the top of the rivets, but I'm not going to go right up to the edge. I'm not going to go round the rivets with it because I still want the dull look of the Agrax there. The shining gold has now dried, and as you can see now it is a lot brighter even on camera in this quite poor light now. It's a lot shinier, definitely gives it more of that Ultramarines feel. So that's his lower portion of his legs done. I'm going to go off and Agrax wash his upper body and the chest plate, which I've golded now, but I'm going to go do that. I'm going to get that sorted out and get him all glued together, his upper body, and just leave his arms and his shoulder pads to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do my bases. I just thought I'd show you that as well, and just so you see how I managed to get this very grey earthy look. I'm sure you guys out there can do better bases than me. But mine was a couple of tips that I picked up from an old Games Workshop member years and years and years ago, and it's how I've always done my bases. Because it doesn't matter how good a painter you are, if your base doesn't look good, it kind of ruins the look of your miniature. Now, like I said, I'm not the best painter in the world. I do an okay tabletop standard, I think. But I thought I'd finish off this painting guide with the base. So we're now ready to start the base. As you can see, the main body is all together. He's looking quite good. He's looking quite shiny. His head's in. I think he's looking quite cool, quite menacing. and he's all glued together. So let's do the base. So I've already done, there's a little bit of Scenic Base that comes with this miniature. So I've already done this. So basically what I've done is I've dry brushed it with Iron Breaker, washed it with Agrax, make it give it that dirty look, and then I've gone round some of the rivets and some of the breaks in the metal with the texture paint, Nahalaki, yeah, that one, oxide. The oxide paint, it's really cool. It just makes it look rusted and like it's been out in the weather. So we've now got to do the big Scenic Base. So what do I do with mine is I kind of cheat. I kind of blue tack the guy on, put PVA glue all around him, and then dunk it in some stones, and I leave it overnight really for it to dry. Once it's done, shake off the excess and undercoat it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn it back to a stone colour. So first off, I'm going to do a dry brush layer of Dawnstone. Once that's dry, I'm going to do a lighter dry brush with Administratum Grey. And then finally, I'm going to do an even lighter dry brush of White Scar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash it with Agrax. And that just makes it look earthy and soily, but you've still got the greys of the rocks coming through. So I'm going to go off and do that now. And then what I will do is I will show you the miniature on the base as completed as we are. So then guys, as you can see, the Praetor Tribune is now complete. He's completely painted up, finished, transfers on, base is done. So I did those very light dry brushes of the greys and then washed with the Agrax. And it actually turned out quite nicely. And what I've also done is I've added a bit of grass. So if there's a bit of a gap where your stones have fallen off, I normally fill them up with a tuft of grass. And it's normally around their feet where you can't really get in with the PVA glue. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how this guy's turned out. I just think it's looking quite cool. His armour's looking nice and shiny, but also slightly battle-worn and dirty around the silver. Obviously I have used a different head on this miniature. It's not the one that comes with it from Forge World, so it's always nice to give it a little bit of a change. Put his Ultramarines transfer logos on. Yeah, you know what, he's looking quite good. So I hope you found this painting guide useful. Like I say, I'm not the best painter in the world. I do an okay tabletop standard of painting. It'd be great to hear your feedbacks in the comment below. Please give us a like, it does help out the channel. And why not subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you on the next one.